Bobby and Monroe. How are y'all?
Doing amazing, amazing. How are you?
We gonna get all up in your business like we do
Uh-oh.
everybody.
Uh-oh. We ready.
We got to start with the question that we ask everybody,
Okay.
and that is, how long have y'all been together, and how did y'all first meet?
We met at karaoke. So, interesting story. It was February of 2021. It was the height of COVID, kind of still. He had just gotten over COVID and just gotten out of the hospital. And it was his first time out. And I didn't want to go out. My best man in our upcoming wedding and my best friend made me go out that night. And we met and have been connected ever since. So we've been together about 2 years. Officially, it'll be 2 years in July, but I mean, we've been connected since the first time we met. So we say a little over 2 years.
I went to celebrate a friend's birthday this particular night. So I was kind of still like in the corner. I did not want to be out. I had a few drinks and I saw this guy kept watching me and I'm like, is he looking at me? And I waited for him outside of the karaoke and we talked, we FaceTimed that night. And I did not really want to be involved at that time. I still had a lot of things going on and still out in the streets playing around and just living at the time. So I was like, okay, I want to give it a chance. He actually called me when I was at work and he said, I'm feeling you. Like, I want to take you out. I want to, get to know you. I want to be connected. And I let my guards down and gave it a chance,
And look how that turned out.
So for Bobby, what was it that made you look at Monroe and know this is somebody that I'm feeling that I want to court? And he just said you said, I want to take you out. Those some grown folks words.
Yeah.
So what made you come at him with the grown folks words? Then for Bobby, you said you had to let your guard down. And so in this exchange, as he's pursuing you, what made you decide, hey, I need to let my guard down here?
For me, dating in Atlanta is dating in Atlanta. So anybody who is a Black gay man in Atlanta knows exactly what I mean when I say that. So we were both in the streets and kind of, free to be us when we met. And while entertaining other people, I found myself only really wanting to be around his energy. And unlike most people, he made me work for it. So there was a lot of courting and chasing and dating. It wasn't just, hey, we find each other attractive and that's it. He made it very clear where he was in his life and that he wasn't looking for a relationship. And I wasn't either when we met, but I'm grown, so I'm not going to ignore how I feel or entertain myself with people I don't want in my space. I had just gotten out of back-to-back two very, we'll call them challenging relationships. So I didn't want to waste my time anymore. And tomorrow isn't promised. So I just stepped to him with how I was feeling. And his choice from that point could have been whatever it was, but he chose to see how I stepped to him as an opportunity for us to go down that path together. And then he let his guard down.
You get to a point where I was at a point where I just wanted my peace. I just wasn't in a place to really entertain people in that way. I mean, I was entertaining people, but not in a serious way. So letting my guard down, of course, you go through the relationships of being hurt, being lied to, being cheated on. I did not want that anymore. I was okay with me. When he met me, I was just in a beautiful place, honestly.
Talking about being Black and gay in Atlanta and dating in Atlanta, I imagine it can kind of jade your idea of what love is. And so coming into this relationship and again taking this risk, how did you both challenge each other to overcome the emotional challenges that being jaded about love can present in a relationship?
That's actually a really good question. Um, Dating in Atlanta is challenging because of the saturation of men that are here. So people feel like there's always something else or something better or something more entertaining. There's always something attractive, and it's very fast paced. And so what one man won't do, another will. But there are 1,000 or more men lined up for what's next. And so you end up thinking most people treat love as disposable. So it's kind of, they pop up and they're married and living together. And then 2 months later, you notice on social media, they're not married and they marrying somebody else or dating somebody else. And it's very popcorn, very quick. And the relationships are here and then they're not, and they're here and then they're not. So you become very unattached to the idea of actually finding something that's going to last. So even if you do get in a relationship, you treat it very, we're just kicking it, we're just talking, but really y'all are dating and it's a situationship. And then it becomes, well, do we post and do we not post? Because it's in the era of social media. And then it just becomes a challenge from multiple ends. Do we tell people? Do we not tell people? Are we serious? Are we not serious? Can you be faithful? Things of that nature. So you start to just protect yourself and just be in the streets. You rather just date and date who you want to and protect yourself from everything that comes with trusting somebody. And what happens is when you fall for somebody, you have to make a choice. We talk a lot outside of even conversations with our friends. We talk to each other a lot about what we want our relationship to look like, what we want our relationship to stand for, and we call it work. They always say relationship is work, but you have to clock in at work. So we choose every morning to get up and clock in into our relationship. And so you can't not choose to be in your relationship today. That's what a commitment is. You don't really have the option to pick and choose when you want to be a good boyfriend or fiance or husband. And a lot of people feel like you do, that you can, if I'm not in front of you, I can be extra flirtatious and give my number out and do, behaviors that you really wouldn't want your partner to do. But people here specifically are very bold.
Wow.
They'll walk up to you, oh, I seen y'all online, congratulations. But I still want to take you out, or I still want to, give you my number. Oh no, I'm engaged. Oh, me too. So we we both got something to lose. And you have to choose, it's not that we're blind. People are attractive, but just because you're attractive doesn't make me attracted to you. So I'm attracted to my partner and I'm attracted to being committed to my partner, but that's a choice. And to find somebody who chooses the same choice, makes the same choices you make, is what's important. What about you, Dave?
Like we talk, and what is so funny is that he is the first person that I've been with. And I always tell him, like, I've shared more words with you than I have with the last 2 relationships combined together, because he cares about what's going on with me. Like he can sense when something is off. So let's just say we're in the house. If there's something that's wrong, he can pick it up and he's like, what's wrong? Like, let's talk. If he's out at the club with his friends and I'm like, something's not right, he will drop what he's doing, where he is at, who he's with, to come home and like like, let's get it. Like, whatever it is, like, let's work through it. We have to catch ourselves sometimes because we'll stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning, not even watching the time, just going over whatever. And it's such a beautiful place to be in when you have someone that you're connected to, that you can have honest and transparent and uncomfortable conversations. Um, I think when you date, meet, go with people, you get their representative for a long period of time. Um, and so we were able to take off the makeup and the clothes and the costumes of how people see Bobby when he's on social media and how Monroe shows up. And it's like, no, we like to sit and read and, drink tea and
watch movies. Kind of boring, actually.
And, the Discovery Channel, and, we're looking at elephants at 3 o'clock in the morning. But, it's just those small things. But even the uncomfortable conversation where I've had to have a conversation with him, I was like, I just want your honesty, no matter how you may think it will make me feel. I respect your honesty over everything. And I just think a lot of people are afraid to be who they are because of rejection, because of what you may think, or they may not get you how they want you because of how you may see them, the true them.
So if you feel comfortable sharing, what have been some of the most uncomfortable conversations that y'all have had to have? And how did y'all navigate those uncomfortable conversations? And then also, how would you suggest folks find vulnerability in their relationships?
Another very good question. I'll share one. There's been a lot of uncomfortable conversations we've had. There is something that he says, which is a joke, but it's serious. He always says, make sure your water is clear. Which
No
is
pun.
fun, no pun intended. But for a while, that was something that was really uncomfortable for me because nobody ever required me to make sure my attachments were closed from everything prior to. We own our own journey, we own our own closure and all of that. But he required me to make sure my attachments were truly and authentically and honestly closed before he gave me his full attachment. And I don't think that we are comfortable enough asking people that. We were in Greece for my birthday, enjoying a beautiful time. You couldn't tell us nothing. And he stopped and asked me about my ex and was like, are you sure that you're over him? Can you honestly say that you are comfortable without him in your life in any capacity? And, have you healed from that? And tell me what your healing looks like. It was I felt like I was in an interview. We were on a boat, we were on a ferry. And it was very much like, no, explain to me how you're sure. You're telling me you're sure, but be honest. Can you say that you've moved on from that? What steps did you take to move on from that? What gives you confirmation of that? And that's a really tough conversation because if you've never addressed those, the real answer is, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not sure, where do you go in your current space if you're not sure? It makes you really attack and dig into that. But it was the first time anybody in 30 years and 16 years of dating that anybody said, let's talk, let's dig into that a little bit deeper. Not just, do you not communicate with him anymore, but are you sure? Before we go any further, can you say that? Can you be authentic in that space? And that was really uncomfortable for me. One, because we were on vacation, And we were in the middle of a whole bunch of people. We were with all of my friends, and it was a whole bunch of things, and we were having a whole private moment. And I appreciate him for holding me accountable to my feelings, because at the time, was I sure I was over him? I thought so. Was I over him? Yes. But had I ever processed it and confirmed it to myself? No. So that blurry or murky water is not healthy. It's not clear. It doesn't give you a sense of direction. And he always will say, like, well, before we go any further, make sure your water is clear. Like, make sure if you need to have a conversation, have it. If you need to let something out, let it out. But do that before you try to set up shop over here.
Healing is important. We're not God, and we can't fix people. I have been in a situation where I was not healed, and in my past relationship, I was still hurting and I was still bruised from that. And I was dating someone who who had deep feelings for me, and I hurt them in the process of trying to love them, and they tried to love me through the process of my hurt and my healing. So I know what that is like, because I did it to someone. As much as I was trying to protect me, I was just trying to protect us and what we talked about building with each other. So I think that's really important, to heal from those things and talk about the hurts and the scars. I when we would be intimate with each other, the lights would be out. I have a scar that I did not want to show him. So I would not get undressed in front of him. I would close the door when I would go in the bathroom. And he would say, "When are you going to let me see you?" The scar that I have I have insecurities about it. And I'm just like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Since then I've unveiled myself. But it was important for me to let him see all of who I was, and what was a part of me, and who I am and how I show up. So yeah.
Y'all, thank y'all for sharing that. That was real. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
So next question, what do y'all think some of the biggest challenges for Black gay men are when it comes to love, dating, and relationships? And how do you think the men in our community can overcome some of those challenges?
I always say people want to play house, but they never want to pay the bills when it comes to relationships. And it goes again with the whole wedding thing. People want the wedding, they don't want the marriage. So we want all of the elements of how it looks and how it feels, but relationship is built on more than just love. It's built on respect, and it's built on trust. So even when you are away from me, are you still giving me that same respect as if I'm there? It's a lot of things to work through. We have this thing where we talk about our bubble, and making sure we keep our bubble intact and there's no interruptions. A bubble it is so
easily popped.
Yeah, you can pop it easily. So you have to take care of your bubble.
First off, we don't have enough time to go over all of the challenges that we face, but the first one is visibility, which is something that you're already, working on, trying to change, but we don't have any examples. And there was another couple that you interviewed that said the same thing. Because we don't have any examples. There is no Barack and Michelle of Black gay love. We have aspirational couples, like Jason Bolden and his husband, you know, from a success standpoint, but we have no idea what their relationship is like. And I think it's probably beautiful. But when it comes to a Black love story, we have none. A Black gay love story, we have none. There is no standard to hold each other accountable to, because you're supposed to be able to write your own story. But when you do that, you leave so much to the imagination. And I think hearing that from people is what's missing. So we don't have shows, and you know, Noah's Ark is coming back great, but until it gets here, what have we had since it went off air to really, you know, have a moment? You know, you have a gay character here, a gay character there, but there is no storylines for us to mimic or use as therapy to get out our emotions. You know, people use TV and movie and social media, be like, you know what, I feel like that too. And then you share it or you repost it, and we just don't have enough of it. Where do you go to get that information? You can't mimic a heterosexual relationship because we're not heterosexual. So I think, to answer the question again, visibility is the number one thing that we don't have, because it doesn't promote conversation. So, I mean, this is a step in the right direction.
We end these conversations with a Joseph Bean quote, and that Joseph Bean quote is, "Black men loving Black men is a revolutionary act." So, Bobby and Monroe, why is Black men loving Black men so revolutionary?
That is so deep. If I was to answer that, I would say that from the time we are conceived to the time we are put in the ground, there is nothing but obstacles to overcome. And a Black man being loved in any capacity is a challenge for a lot of people. So a Black man expressing love and receiving it simultaneously is an act of God, and it is a wonder to behold. So it is something that is so powerful, it scares people. But it's also something so rare that it scares people.
Yes.
So that's why it would be a revolutionary act. Black men don't receive enough love from their parents, from their friends, from the world. So to be a Black man in the world and then love another Black man in the world, you are operating on a lack of love and trying to provide it at the same time. So if you succeed in that, wow.
Yeah.
So
Black man, I love you.
right.
Black man, you are enough. Black man, I love your beauty and your beast. I am enough, and he has made me feel that way in this relationship, where I've had so many relationships where I did not feel that I brought enough to the table, or I felt that I was not giving enough, or I did not have enough. We are enough, and we deserve to be loved. We deserve to be treated with kindness, with respect, with care. We're taught to not show any emotions. We're taught that it's weak if you cry, but it's okay. It's okay. You are enough.
And you're deserving.
And you are deserving. Yeah.